On this journey, I'm going to give you a recap of the 2020 NBA trade deadline. Now, leading up to Thursday, it was kind of quiet on the trade front, but then we started getting Woj bomb after Woj bomb. And you had names like Andrew Wiggins, D'Angelo Russell, Andre Drummond, Andre Iguodala. I mean, the names were coming in left and right, team from team. So we're going to be discussing who are the winners and who are the losers of the 2020 NBA trade deadline. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, in this journey, we're going to be discussing the NBA trade deadline's winners and losers. And let's go ahead and start this thing off with number one, the Miami Heat. To me, you got to tip your hat to the Godfather, Pat Riley. He did it again. For the Miami Heat to be able to send out Justice Winslow and some guys that they truly didn't want, James Johnson, Dion Waiters, and sent out none of the young guys, no draft picks, and were able to get some legitimate playoff, battle-tested veterans. I mean, listen, you bring in Andre Iguodala and Jay Crowder, Solomon Hill. Like, Pat Riley, he did it again. Like, Pat Riley has retooled this Miami Heat roster overnight. You add Jimmy Butler. The Miami Heat right now are one of the teams that, when I did my contenders video, we're kind of sitting on the outside looking in, right? And they're still slightly on the outside, but I think these moves that they made, I think it's going to propel them to legitimate title contender status. You got to keep in mind, right now they're number 7 in the league in offensive efficiency, which is sufficient. They're number 14 in the league right now in defensive efficiency, which is slightly on the outside of where championship teams have been historically over the last 20 or so years. Also, they're number 10 as far as like net rating, where you want to be in that top 8 as far as what every single championship team has won. They're right outside of that. And also they're number 4 seed. So Miami, to me, is a team that a little bit of tooling, a little bit of additions, which is what they made. But to me, surprisingly, they didn't really lose anything to bring in guys like a Jay Crowder, guys like a Andre Iguodala. I think the Miami Heat were definitely one of the biggest winners in this trade deadline. Let's move on to one of the losers. To me, one of the biggest losers and one of the most dumbfounding moves was the Detroit Pistons, who traded their all-star, all-NBA level center. To me, Andre Drummond is one of the top 3 to 5 centers in the entire NBA. They traded this man for a bag of peanuts and a Metro card. Like, you didn't get anything of value in return. You got a couple second-round picks. To me, that's just not sufficient. And I get it. Maybe you think he's gonna walk. Maybe I don't know. I don't really know what the true reasoning for getting nothing in return for him. I understand letting him go. I understand you said you think he's gonna leave. You think it's not gonna work out, and the fit just hasn't worked well with Blake Griffin. I get retooling, but if you're gonna trade somebody like that, you've got to get at least a legitimate player back in return, as far as a young asset that you can truly move with, and or a legitimate pick. You didn't get a first round pick or a promising young player in return. That's just, I don't get that. Now, on the other side, Cleveland, you didn't give up much, so I gotta tip my hats to you. I don't truly understand why Cleveland is going for Andre Drummond, but that's a whole other conversation, because I think there was better teams that should have made the move for Drummond, specifically when you factor in what Cleveland actually gave up. And I think that's the key to this all. See, if the Cavs are just gonna grab any spare change that they could find laying in the couch and send it over to Detroit for Andre Drummond, why did the Boston Celtics do that? Like, I'm still dumbfounded as why did the Boston Celtics not reach out to Detroit and say, hey, we'll take that all-star center. We'll give you a first round. They've got 3 first-round picks in this year's draft. Why not give up 1? Just give up 1 first-round pick and a couple of bench players. That's pretty much what Cleveland gave up. But they gave up second-round picks. Like, I don't understand that rationale. For Boston to not acquire him and for Detroit to not really get anything for him. Boston, Danny Ainge, he's still sitting on those picks like they're, a golden egg or something. You got to do something with those picks, man. You got to do something to turn this young Boston Celtics team into a contender. Boston, you're one of my losers for not doing anything when you have considerable holes on your roster in your starting lineup. We're not talking about adding just some bench depth or some specialists. We're talking about rotation players. We're talking about starting players. We're talking about adding pieces that every championship team needs. You didn't do that. Now let's move on to a winner, a surprising winner in how they went about it. Another team that's decided to kind of do what Boston is doing and say, listen, we don't need all-star big men. We're gonna play this thing small ball. And they've truly embodied small ball in the revolutionary, way that the game's being played. You got to tip your hat to Mike D'Antoni and the Houston Rockets. A lot of people are questioning why they would give up a legitimate rim protector in Clint Capella. And I get it. I get the questions. Clint Capella was a legitimate double-double guy. He was a vertical lob threat. He was a guy that played well off of James Harden. One of the reasons why James Harden was able to lead the league in assists a couple years ago, one of the reasons why he was such a threat in that pick and roll was you didn't know if he was going to stop and pop. You didn't know if he was going to go all the way. And when he called for that pick, you didn't know if he was going to lob it or go finish it himself. That's what Clint Capella brought to the table. But Mike D'Antoni and the Houston Rockets with Daryl Moore have decided to say, you know what? We'd rather take threes than twos. And if we're going to take a two, we don't need that big man to come out and set that pick. We'll just drive right past whoever you have guarding us. I saw last night against the Lakers. They did an excellent job. An excellent job at spreading the floor, playing no guy over 6'7", as they brought in Robert Covington as the tallest player that was in their rotation yesterday. And between PJ Tucker and Robert Covington, they're going to be playing the typical five-man position. They're going to be guarding the bigs, guys that are smaller than them. They're going to be switching everything. There was plays where you had Eric Gordon guarding Anthony Davis. Like, Houston is going to truly embody small ball, okay? And I like it. I like it. Listen, you got to understand. Game 1 when Houston played the Lakers, Anthony Davis didn't play. Clint Capella played. And the Lakers, they beat them without Anthony Davis. So I think if you're Houston, you're looking at the Lakers right now sitting as the number 1 seed, and you're saying, if we can't beat the Lakers in our home without them having Anthony Davis, with us having Clint Capella, and then Clint Capella gets injured and we go and on an amazing run, I think when they went 10-1 over those 11 games, they're like, we don't need him. Let's try it without him because clearly we're not going to be better than them with him. So I understand, listen, with Clint Capella, I don't think that the Houston Rockets were going to win the championship. I still don't think they're going to win the championship, but I think they presented a real matchup problem for some other teams. Teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm still taking those teams over the Rockets in 7. I think that size over a 7-game series was just going to wear them down. It's going to be too much. But teams like the Boston Celtics, teams like the LA Clippers, who don't have those traditional big men who are going to truly dominate the paint, who are going to be rim protectors, those teams right there, I think, are going to struggle with this Houston Rockets team. You're going to have to play small ball against them. The Boston Celtics with Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, they're going to have to play small ball. Same thing with the Clippers. They're going to have to play small ball. And I think that favors the Rockets because who's going to take and make more threes? I'm going with the Rockets over any of those teams. So if they're going to be playing threes for twos and you have no way to truly dominate them on the inside, how are you going to beat them in a 7-game series? I think the Rockets may be onto something as far as getting past some teams. You got to remember, styles make fights. And I think the Houston Rockets, for some teams, just became a matchup nightmare. Now, speaking of the Clippers made a move of their own. And it's a move that I like. I like the addition of Marcus Morris. They were in from what I hear, an arms race, right? You're going back to the Cold War, right? They were in an arms race between the Lakers and the Clippers of who was going to get Marcus Morris. And the Clippers won. The Clippers sent out the expiring contract of Mo Harkless. They sent out a couple of young players, but nothing of real substance. They kept their core: Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, Landry Shamet, which was a key piece in this trade that the New York Knicks wanted this they didn't get. They kept that, and they added Marcus Morris, a 6'9", two-way wing. He could play the 3, he could play the 4, he could be a small ball 5. his ability to shoot efficiently from the three, and is a tough bulldog like the rest of those Clippers are. I love the move for the Clippers. What Marcus Morris is going to do is allow himself to be one of those closing guys alongside of Montrezl Harrell. That was one of the issues that the Clippers were facing, where you can't play Harrell and Zubac. Neither one of them can shoot from deep. So it's just not enough floor spacing. So that's why Zubac, even though he starts, he doesn't finish games, because Montrezl Harrell will finish the game for them. And at the 4 spot, they will find themselves with a little weakness. Patrick Patterson, Jermichael Green, they just weren't truly getting it done, especially against better competition. You add a Marcus Morris in there, he's going to be able to hold his own. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to stop the Giannis Antetokounmpos and the Anthony Davises of the world. But I think against most teams, he'll be efficient enough, he'll be sufficient enough to be able to get them to where they're trying to go to. Now, going across the hall to the Lakers were a team that, once again, were unable to get Marcus Morris. And for the asking price, as it's being reported, Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma, and you wanted future picks? Oh, the Knicks were, no. You were tripping if you thought the Lakers were going to give up that much for a role player in Marcus Morris. I'm glad that I'm glad that the management of the Lakers decided to hold firm and keep Kyle Kuzma out of the Knicks' hands. Very smart. But what do the Lakers do? What do they do now? Because the trade deadline is coming on. This is the first trade deadline where Rob Pelinka did not make a trade at the trade deadline. Every other year since he's been as the GM, president of basketball, he's made a trade at the trade deadline. So this is the first one. Well, LeBron told you just a couple weeks ago, they feel that they have enough. So there was no need to break up that core, break up that chemistry. I agree. But there's rumors, because just at last night's game, Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, was spotted at dinner as well as sitting courtside with Darren Collison. Now, Darren Collison is a guy who this past summer was an option I wanted the Lakers to get if he was going to be available. I thought he was going to be in about that $8 to $10 million range. And if he was going to be available, I wanted the Lakers to go get him. Well, he decided to go follow his religious beliefs, and I think he's a Jehovah's Witness, and he decided to pass on the NBA. Well, now he's starting to say, okay, you know what? I did that. Let me go ahead and try to get back into the league. And he's meeting with the Lakers. Well, should I say he met with the Lakers? And so if he's able to come back, which it looks like he's been working out, it looks like he's ready to come on, get back into the groove of things. If the Lakers are able to add Darren Collison, who can be a legitimate guy off that bench, you could put him in as a starter if you wanted to replace Avery Bradley, which I don't necessarily like that move. I'd rather keep the defense to Bradley brings, bring Darren Collison in off the bench. If you're able to do that, now that gives that second unit where you still have Rondo to be a facilitator. Darren Collison is a legitimate elite spot-up shooter, shooting over 40% the last 3 or 4 years from three. I think he led the league in three-point shooting a couple of years back. So he's an elite three-point shooter. He can be a spot-up shooter, but more importantly, he can create shots for himself and for others. Darren Collison is an efficient player on both ends. He's not a liability defensively. Now, he is a little small, so he's not typically somebody you're going to be playing against bigger guards. If you're going against the Hardens and the Westbrooks, he's not going to be able to guard them. But coming off that bench, I think he's an excellent pickup. So let's move from the contenders to some of the teams that didn't truly make the best moves and or didn't make any moves, but they're not even playoff teams right now. So first up are the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs, who right now sit 4 games out of the 8th seed in the West. The season's more than halfway over, and the Spurs are still 4 games out of the 8th spot. I don't understand what the Spurs are doing. Like, I've done a couple of videos. I did one about them being one of the teams heading in the wrong direction. I did another video about should they trade DeRozan, how LaMarcus Aldridge should possibly be traded. They decided to stand pat. I don't get that. What, you're gonna make another push to let's see if we can get into the playoffs and get swept by the Lakers? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't blow this thing up. Well, we're gonna have to see what the Spurs are up to, because if they don't make the playoffs, they'll get a late lottery pick, right? Matt Popovich has had some great success with guys like Ginobili and Park in the past, so maybe he'll be able to pull another rabbit out of the hat. but I don't. This isn't a very good draft. It's not a deep draft by any stretch of the imagination. The Spurs have never really been a big free agent destination, and this is not a good free agent summer. I don't necessarily understand what they were doing, but that's TBD on the Spurs. Now let's move over to the Minnesota Timberwolves, because the Minnesota Timberwolves here, I can't really say that I like and or I don't like their move. They acquired D'Angelo Russell in a trade for Andrew Wiggins. I like the fit with Russell and Towns. I do. I like that fit because these guys are friends. Like, Russell wants to be there. He wants to play with Towns. And I think that this right here could actually be a great move if Towns is willing to stay. We just started hearing some rumblings about Towns in Minnesota saying, listen, I'm getting tired of losing. And when I heard the New York Knicks had just signed Leon Rose, I immediately went on social media and said, listen, within a year, Towns will be going to the Knicks because Leon Rose is his agent. Or should I say was his agent if Leon Rose takes the job with the New York Knicks. So I can easily see Towns doing what Anthony Davis did, of forcing his way out of a smaller market into a bigger market, one of the glamour franchises of the NBA. And I think Minnesota realized, listen, we can't play around with this thing. And they pulled the trigger getting rid of Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell. I'm conflicted here because I like the Russell move, but I just don't know if they gave up on Wiggins too soon. Like, to me, Wiggins is probably one of the most disappointing players as far as number one picks in a while because he's got so much talent. Like, he's not a bust, right? He's not an Anthony Bennett type of bust, but for a number one pick, the talent that he has is sensational. But there's something there. I don't know if it's the motor. I don't know if it's the work ethic. I don't know. So I don't want to say because I don't know. But there's something missing with Wiggins. And if he's able to find, or if he's able to have someone to pull out what is missing or put in what's missing, and I think the Warriors may be the ones to do that, he could turn into a star. He still has star talent, right? He still has, maybe not, he'll never be a superstar, right? He'll never be one of those players, but he could be a guy who makes an all-star team or two. He still has time to grow, still has time to develop. So I don't know if they gave up on him too soon, but because you got D'Angelo Russell, I understand it. And if the Minnesota Timberwolves are able to pull off the trifecta and be able to get Devin Booker to join them, now I would love that move. Now I would love that move if Minnesota's able to set up their own big three in due time. But let's talk about this last team. And this team right here, to me, is one of the biggest and the most important teams that you need to watch out for. That's the Golden State Warriors. Not about this year. Getting this Andrew Wiggins trade done, I think Wiggins is a better fit for Golden State than even D'Angelo Russell was. I love the fit that Wiggins is beside Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. When you think about the long wingspan, the athleticism that he has, the potential two-way ability that he can bring if he's able to commit to that defensive side of the floor and stop all that extra dribbling, right? Stop trying to be the man, which in Golden State, he won't be the man. You're going to be, at best case scenario, the third option. At best. But here's another thing that you got to watch out for. The Golden State Warriors are potentially going to have a top 3 pick in the draft. I don't think it should be any lower than 3 based on how the new draft lottery is set up. I don't think the pick is going to be any lower than 3. Golden State needs that number 1 pick. They need that number 1 pick. James Wiseman is the only name they should be looking at. I love LaMelo Ball. There's been talks about, potentially maybe even RJ Hamilton, Cole Anthony Edwards. It's a lot of names that are good, but these are perimeter players. When you've got Curry, Klay, and now Wiggins, you don't need perimeter players, and you still got Draymond Green. You need a 5-man. And James Wiseman is the best 5-man coming into the pros. So if they get that number 1 pick, watch out. Because now they position themselves to have a legitimate team, and they could be back in contender status next year. If that pick falls 2 or maybe 3, and depending on who those teams are ahead of them and the needs that they have, if they end up with the LaMelo Ball, it's not a bad pick. It's just not a perfect fit. And maybe they're able to take that pick and trade up or whatever they have to do, but you got to go get James Wiseman. And if they do, watch out. Now, the last team I want to talk about is a team that didn't necessarily make a move, but I think it was the best thing for them to not make that move. And that is the Milwaukee Bucks. Right now, they're absolutely scorching and destroying the NBA. The way that Giannis is playing right now and all the pieces that are around them, there's no need to go tinkering with anything that's not broke. They did right by not making a trade, and now they'll be able to look at the buyout market and decide who is the best fit, and we can shave something off that 15th man, that 14th man, drop him off, and pick up somebody that could possibly be a 9th or 8th man. Their top 6, 7, 8 guys in the rotation are set. It's legit. They don't need to mess with that. But if they can, maybe, I don't know who is going to potentially become available. Maybe I'll do a video on some potential buyout candidates. But as of right now, I love where the Milwaukee Bucks are. Even with, like I said, with the Lakers not making a move, I definitely think that was the best thing. And the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks, those 3 teams are going to be at the top of every single one of the buyout candidates that are out there. So we have to wait and just see how that kind of plays itself out. But until then, listen, I appreciate you for looking at this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, hit that like button, and tap that notification bell so that you can stay updated with the journey of a Ballaholic.